Hi guys, this is German with Audio Spring Music, and today we're going to talk about how to improve your songwriting. Welcome back guys, and if you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to receive notifications when we post more videos. Today we're going to cover how to improve your songwriting. We're going to look at 5 aspects of songwriting so that you can compare which ones you're good at and which ones you can improve on. We're going to get right into it with tip number 1, and that's to learn basic music theory. If you haven't learned basic music theory, it's really important that you look into this. This is going to create a foundation for you to begin to write music. You might be wondering how much music theory you might need to start writing songs. To be really honest with you, the very basic is all you need. Music theory is very useful when it comes to analyzing what you did and why things work. But at the time of songwriting, you're gonna use very little music theory. Mostly in the beginning of writing a song, you're gonna be led by your ear and by your imagination and by whatever sounds good. Music theory comes into play once you've analyzed the ideas that you already came up with so that you can know how to expand on them. You're gonna need to start off learning chords and scales. If you play guitar, most likely you're gonna start off learning open chords. Eventually, you will want to expand into bar chords. Once you've started with major and minor, then you can expand into minor 7, major 7, and dominant chords. Cadences is also a really important thing for you to learn. Basically, what cadences is knowing how one chord is going to lead into another. Just have in mind that cadences are very important, and it's basically how you're going to know what chord leads naturally into what chord, so that you can form a progression that creates the song. Also, a lot of songs follow a standard chord progression. Basic chord progressions are really useful to get started because they are like templates upon which you can start expanding on your songwriting. A great example of this is the 4-chord song that you hear in pop very often. You can choose to work closely with the template, or once you got it down, you can start doing more interesting things and adding things and taking things from the template. You can get started Googling the 4-chord song as well as the blues standard and jazz standards. These are going to form a foundation upon which you can expand later on in your songwriting, and then you can start messing with the templates, you can start changing up the scales, and you can start doing more interesting chords. As I said, you don't really need to know a whole lot of music theory, but this provides a great foundation to get started and to start experimenting. Next up is tip number 2, and that's to understand song structure. You're going to want to learn each part of a song and what the purpose of each section is. This is going to help you piece together your ideas into a cohesive story. Different sections of a song are going to be things like the intro, the verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, instrumental breaks, rhythmic breaks. Each part of the song is going to have its own purpose. For example, in the verses, that's where you really develop something, develop an idea. The pre-chorus is really good as a transition from the verse to the chorus, and the chorus is going to be the main idea of your song. Then you might have things like post-chorus, which is just a transition back into the second verse. You can have the bridge. The bridge is really interesting because that's where you really experiment and you use that to contrast with everything that's come before it. That's your chance to go far away from where you started. But just have in mind that you're going to have to come back at some point, so don't go too far either. Instrumental breaks are great also if you sang for a lot of the song and you also want to highlight a melody, or if you want to have an instrument doing a solo. Instrumental breaks are really the spot where you can do that. And these are just a few examples, so consider what each section of the song is trying to accomplish, and that's going to help you piece together your ideas in a way that is cohesive. Tip number 3 to improve your songwriting is going to be storytelling. You need to become really good at storytelling, and there's actually 2 ways that you can tell a story in your song. The first way is going to be with the vocals and the lyrics. If you think back, I'm sure you can think of a song that literally tells a story, like for example, Hotel California. If you read the lyrics, that song is basically a story on top of music. With older type of music, like let's say 60s or 70s, it was very popular to tell a story, like flat out a story. But as we've moved more into modern times, lyrics have started focusing more in describing moments, things, feelings, concepts, emotions. So with the lyrics, you're not restricted to just flat out telling a story. You can also describe things. So keep that in mind when you're writing lyrics. The second way that you can tell a story is with the music itself. This one is a little bit trickier, but basically what you want to do is imagine what the story is and then use the music to get that message across. So for example, think in movies. When you see a movie and the tension builds in the story, the music reflects that. So in this way, you can use music to tell the story without necessarily using words to describe what is happening. So don't just think about how the lyrics tell the story, but also think about how the music itself is telling the story. Think about the dynamics, think about the harmony. With harmony, for example, maybe the song starts out really dark and then it moves on to a more beautiful sounding kind of harmony. And basically with that, you're telling a story of something that started off very dark and moved on to something beautiful. And the lyrics can reflect that, but notice how you would have used harmony to tell a story even without the lyrics. So thinking about storytelling with these two things, which are the vocals and the lyrics, and also the music itself telling the story and how it supports the lyrics, that's going to really improve your storytelling for your songwriting. Tip number 4 is going to be to know the landscape. You need to know who your audience is. You need to know what things they like, what experiences they've been through. And that's really important because you need to know how to relate to them. If you're gonna talk about an idea or a concept or describe something, you need to do it in a way that they can understand. And it really helps if you've had first-hand experience with whatever it is that you're talking about, because that way you can relate the idea in a way that they understand because they have experienced it as well. Also, you also need to know yourself. You need to know what your influences are, and you need to know what specific things you like about other people's songwriting, because that way you can take your favorite things from other people and assimilate it into your songwriting. This will eventually help you to create a vision for your music. But it's important that you know these specific things: who your audience is, know yourself and what your influences are, and the specific things that you like about other people's songwriting. The 5th thing that's really going to help you improve your songwriting is your ear. And like I said, your ear is the most important thing. You don't need a lot of music theory, you don't need a lot of these other things as much as you need a good ear. Your ear is going to guide you through everything. You need to understand that your taste in music is unique to you, and your taste in musical choices is also unique to you. So even if you try to teach somebody else how to write like you're still two different people that are gonna make different choices. So it's really important that you develop your ear, and you can do this by listening to different types of music, and also by learning how to play other people's songs. The thing with learning how to play other people's songs is that you're gonna notice a lot of very fine details in other people's songwriting. For example, you might notice that sometimes they put in an extra bar somewhere, or maybe a solo that you thought was really, really fast is not really that fast and complicated. It just sounds that way. But you really won't notice these things until you learn how to play it yourself. All 5 of these things that we just discussed are really important to songwriting, and I guarantee that if you work on all of them, your songs will improve. I'll also be making videos diving deeper into each one of them as we move forward, but for now just look up the information that you can on your own and stay tuned for upcoming videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell, and we'll catch you in the next one.